Hello, Internet. Welcome to episode 343 of the Assorted Calibers podcast. The Second Amendment podcast is a little bit for everyone. I'm Weer'd, and tonight, as you can tell, we are recording live from Atlanta, Georgia at the NRA Annual Meeting. And joining me tonight, we have Oddball.
Hello.
Who actually supplied this lovely Airbnb that we are enjoying the heck out of. And we have David.
Hello.
All right, so yeah, I'm going to say, how are you guys doing? But we've been hanging out all day. I know how they're doing.
Yeah.
We're a little punch drunk right now.
Yeah.
We've basically not been out of each other's proximity in over 24 hours.
That's true. And you'll have to pardon me. I'm working off of a lapel mic and I'm running out of voice. So hopefully there's not a lot of obnoxious coughing, or hopefully I could see it on the recording when I'm editing this. All right, so I think we'll just go on. We're going to probably do this hopefully in two parts if everything works out the way we planned. But so yeah, just go over some of like the cool stuff that we have seen. So I don't know. First up, like, well, you guys drove down. Was it uneventful? I don't think we really talked about it.
Yeah, it was pretty uneventful. We stopped at the Buc-ee's somewhere in Georgia, north of Atlanta, as is the protocol, and ran into a little bit of traffic on the north side of Georgia, but north side of Atlanta,
yeah. And just occasional bands of rain.
Yeah.
And I will say, when you guys were at Buc-ee's, you didn't ask if I needed anything, and I saw your lovely Buc-ee's shirts, and David and I are the same size.
So now I no longer have a Buc-ee's shirt, but someone else does.
You'll go back to another Buc-ee's and you can get another one. And
hopefully they won't be out.
But the best part is how many compliments I've gotten this shirt in your presence.
You're lucky this is not a round table. Or this is a round table, not a mag dump.
It's one of those things that when I wear one of the Buc-ee's Hawaiian shirts, my wife gets so mad when we go out because so many people comment on it. Stop encouraging him.
I mean, really, Buc-ee's is the new religion. All right, so let's go around and see what are some of the interesting things that we have seen.
Well, I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was actually planning on doing and buying was I got some new ear protection from Isotunes Sport, the Caliber BTs, which are the ones that kind of look like, you know, the quote true wireless earbud hearing protections that kind of look like oversized what are they called? AirPods. And I've been using a different model, the kind that actually has the wire between the two earbuds for a couple years now, and really enjoyed their stuff. So thought I'd get a second pair and get something a little different.
Coincidentally, I picked up the new version of the ones that Oddball's been using for a couple of years because, I mean, mostly I'm doing pistol stuff, so the muff style ear protection is fine. But you know, on the occasion I do rifle, they do kind of push at the ear cup. So I wanted to have something other. Also, shooting outdoors in Tennessee in the summer with gel pad ear protection, over the ear protection, you get swampier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll be less likely with these. Plus, these have magnets.
How do they work?
No one knows.
They attract each other. Everything in technology works through magnets. Magnets work through magic.
Okay. That's understandable.
But yeah, they sent me a nice email telling me how much money I saved. I'm like, no, I spent money. Because if they'd been at the original price, I wouldn't have bought them at all. But they are very nice, and I look forward to using them.
Yeah. Ooh, where will I start? I think I'm going to start on this one because this is actually quite a surprise. Is that we were looking at several other booths. I mean, first I will just say the sheer number of suppressor makers.
Oh yeah, we're going to get into that in more detail.
We'll have to do that. But but we were actually, I think we were at a suppressor maker, and I kept looking over and I saw this little gift box with a bottle of whiskey in it, and I went, "What's that all about?" There was actually a bunch of like cigar places and things like that around there, and I was just like, "What's going on?" I went over, and this was Hooten Young Distillery out of Kentucky, and they had 3 vintages, but two styles. One was a rye whiskey, which was one of my favorite mash bills, which is 95% rye, and then just that additional 5% is malted barley, and that just really makes a nice, smooth, rich, deep rye whiskey, and it was excellent. But they also had an American whiskey, which it's essentially was a corn whiskey, but for legal reasons they had to they kept it at American whiskey because of, I think, mostly the proofage they were distilling at, and I think they said they were using used barrels. So,
yes.
Yeah. So that was that knocked them out of the corn whiskey realm. But yeah, that was good. And like I said, I'm giving tasting notes because they actually gave tastings. I also did not expect that. So that was a good time. Oddball, do you want to go back?
Sure. So I always love checking out the small manufacturers at the annual meeting, and one of those very small manufacturers is Liberty Manufacturing. They make all of one product, which is a pen gun. And one of the cool things,
classic pen gun,
and it actually has a ballpoint pen built into it, so you can use it as a writing instrument. And the top half of it is a little 22. They did say it'll take all 22 short, long rifle and 22 Magnum, and
22 Magnum is a little concerning.
They did mention, now pay attention, you have this much barrel, so if you want to cast Fireball, there's just something really cool about, pen gun, and this one is an NFA AOW, because it's not like some pen guns where it folds into something the vague shape of a gun. It's you pull the back of it to cock it and just push back into fire.
So one of the non-gun things that I came across is something called Rock Pot, which is a camping slow cooker.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
So the way it works, it's got an inner pot and an outer pot, and in the bottom of the outer pot, you have what they call the rock tablet, and you put that in the fire to heat up while you're getting everything all prepped. You put the rock tablet inside, you put the inner pot on top of that, and then you put on and seal the lid, and it acts like a slow cooker. And I thought that was really interesting, and I hopefully have time to stop and chat with the guy, because he's a little busy when I swung by today. But I think that's just kind of a neat idea.
Yeah, I hadn't figured out. I saw that it worked off a fire, but I was just like, what are they? You're heating it directly over the fire, but no, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I like that.
And so, yeah, it also means that you just need to have a fire, and then you can just set the crock pot up. Yeah, that is cool. Let's talk about this one here, because these guys, I thought they would be a little bit of a joke. They were essentially said concealed carry underwear.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
And I'm like,
the tactical underwear guy.
Yeah, and I thought it was going to be
Thunderwear for some 2.0.
Thunderwear, or those for those of you, because I haven't seen them in a while, but get a hold of those catalogs that'll have the concealed
SWAT
carry
magazine from
sweater.
back in the day.
So there's a shirt with a pistol pocket in it that's going to flop all around and possibly dump
the undershirt with a
pouch
in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is a really, really clever idea.
Yeah, essentially it's a pair of boxer briefs that have a number of pockets in them, and the pockets can be put in.
Actually, I took a closer look. The pad is not removable.
Okay.
It's stitched in there.
Okay.
But there's a pad that goes between you and the firearm, and they have like 7 different versions of it with the pads in different places for appendix carry, 4 o'clock or 9 or 8 o'clock carry, and so forth. Yeah,
but essentially, it's kind of like the opposite of the comfort cut on a holster is the guard. It essentially gets between the gun and you, so that you don't get essentially gun rash.
Yeah, chafing and irritation and trapping sweat and whatever.
Yeah, so that seemed really, really, really good. We'll go back and see if they take me up on my offer to bring a set that's been worn for a number of years down.
I mean, one of the guys did mention he has a pair in the hotel room, but
he
doesn't know if he wants to put them out. But yeah, that was a pretty clever idea.
One of you mentioned that there were a bunch of silencers. One place that they are very carefully not making silencers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Infinite Production Solutions, or Infinite Product Solutions. They are making linear comps. They were saying, well, it's the next evolution past linear comps, but they're linear comps.
Yeah, but they are well made.
Oh yeah, they're very well made. And one of the things is, they're making very large linear comps that attach to your rifle like a silencer, including, I believe they were selling the flash hiders with the threads on
for
top.
Quick detach.
For quick detach. And by large, I mean, there were some of those there that were like 1.5 feet long.
Yeah, I'd say
like 6 inches wide.
14 to 16 inches long and 4 inches in diameter.
Yeah. Which, if you haven't shot a rifle with a linear comp, it is surprising how well they do at making it a much more pleasant experience for the shooter. It's basic. If you don't know what they are, they basically redirect all the sound downrange.
Yeah. Another variant of them is commonly called a flash can.
Yeah.
And it reduces the volume for the shooter and increases the volume for the target, but we don't care about that guy's hearing.
Right. And unlike a traditional comp, it also doesn't tick off everybody in the bays next to you at the gun range.
Yeah. One of the other products that they had was the barrel thread attachments.
Oh,
yeah.
So if you want to attach a muzzle device to whatever firearm, you have to have a threaded muzzle. Well, if you don't, you either have to get that muzzle threaded or something. And with something along the lines of a Ruger 1022, where the front sight is all the way at the muzzle end, you don't have an option. These things are designed specifically for the gun, and they slip over the front, and there are 6 hex screws in pairs at 120-degree increments around the circumference, so that you can tune it and adjust to make sure that it's straight. And it's a really nice idea. I think they're like $45 to $60 for the basic
it was
ones.
something like that.
Very reasonable price.
Which for precision machining, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, so I actually thought that was cooler than the comps in some respect, because that opens up a whole new avenue for whatever else you're doing. And the compliance attachments that they had for some of those. They look painful.
They were spicy.
Yeah.
Spiky, I think you mean.
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
All right. Well, speaking of actual suppressor makers, and I believe, what was the other name that they had on there? But Whispertech.
Hold on. That was the Whisperchicks.
Yes.
Was the other one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it was, so essentially they were making suppressor technology. According to them, it works really, really good. But from what we can observe, they're very, very lightweight.
Yeah, they were doing primarily titanium, they said.
Yep.
Which, I mean, titanium is the material of suppressors.
Mm-hmm.
Titanium and stellite are the optimal solutions for making lightweight suppressors. Because the more effective the suppressor is, the larger it tends to be. And the last thing you want to do is put a pound of weight out at the muzzle.
Mm-hmm.
But the lady whose name I forget, the wife of the husband-wife team that run it, was very much the saleswoman.
Yes, very much.
And
Very much a saleswoman. She was not. She was very open about not being super duper knowledgeable about the technical stuff. But her whole point was the reason why they call it Whisperchicks is they are targeting female gun owners, and one way is of course through the lovely colors.
Yes, including pink.
Yes, the other and patterns and all sorts of stuff.
Well, the Whisperchicks ones were the colors. The patterned ones were the Whispertech.
Oh, gotcha. But either way, they making them very light and reducing recoil and that sort of stuff is also giving huge advantages, to female shooters. But the big thing that I think we were all really impressed with is they have a fancy gift box. If you order someone a suppressor that shows up, and instead of the suppressor inside of it, instead there is just essentially a rolled out tube. Yep, and but it's set up to be the same size and color of the one that she's getting, so she can
the tube is in a gift bag, which is inside the gift box with all the paperwork and everything for the suppressor. So when you go through the paperwork process and get the suppressor, you can transport it in the bag, you can store it in the box. Mm-hmm. It's a really clever gift idea.
Yeah, super good idea. So that was fun.
The husband, Richard,
yes.
I have his card. He was a former engineer who got into suppressors, and they're user maintainable, very classic baffle stack.
Yep.
Standard K baffle style baffle stack. They're narrow in diameter but longer, but because they are primarily titanium, they're lighter weight. And the flyer that we got has, for their three main suppressors, the 22 long rifle, 9mm, and 300 blackout. They do have cutaways, so you can see the baffle structure in there. And we got to hold some of them. They had one on a Glock 19, I think it was.
So, yeah.
That had one of the larger streamlights, I think, was attached to it. It was a TLR 7, maybe, which is a big, heavy light. And even with that light on the dust cover, you really didn't notice the weight of the suppressor.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah. There was a bunch of other people that were making suppressors. Faxon.
Faxon is getting into them as well. Who was one of the others that I noted? I don't know.
Well, Oddball got me to spend some money.
Tyon, the titanium suppressor folks.
Yes.
Where they were also showing us various stuff. Those are the folks we talked about, I think you asked about where they were getting their titanium.
Yes.
And they said that, well, they were a titanium foundry for other purposes. So if something got messed up in production or any of the machining scrap, back in the vat.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool.
So what did you spend your money on, Weer'd?
Oddball directed me to the Microtech booth, and I saw a little out the front. It's called, what was the Hera 2?
Mini Hera.
Mini Hera? Yeah. It's a little, about 3.5-inch blade.
Yeah.
Out the front. And they're pricey, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I think I handed you the one that I had on me that's from another manufacturer that is like $100, $200 cheaper, and you can feel the difference.
Yeah, it's still nice.
Oh yeah. It's very nice up front, but you can definitely feel the difference between this and the Microtech. And then there were the Ultratech's, which is Microtech's high-end line, that they put out ones that actually have 0 play in the blade, which for an out in the front knife, that is,
And not figurative 0, literal 0.
yeah, for an out the front knife, that is highly and so going down, one of the gun-related things, a company named Eeylar,
Oh, yeah.
who makes gear cases, they've come out with a foam insert for cases that the foam actually is cut in tessellating patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, interlocking shapes.
So you can actually you can pluck out what you need, but it's not like what we're used to with traditional ones where, oh yeah, you cut and pluck out the foam that you need. And that's the way that foam insert is now till the end of time.
Right.
This you can rearrange them. Magpul has done their own system that's a bit more like Lego bricks.
Yeah. I forget what that one's called, but
I forget. Which is a very nice system, but their system for a full-size rifle case is like $200, $250, something like that.
It's approaching real gun money.
Right. The Ragar reusable and reconfigurable foam, they were saying for a full-size rifle case, their insert was like $90.
Yeah. It was $60 to $90 was the range for different cases.
Right. Which, I'll probably check the dimensions of some of my cases and order a couple sets because that's a nice setup.
Yeah. Yep. And they also do design work on the outside of the cases. And some of our listeners may remember when I did the episode after the Goals event on the Goat 15 22 Mini AR, and they had one of the cases mocked up with the Mountain Billy Gun Labs logo on it.
Yeah.
Which is a nice tie-in for us.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get too far away from lightweight,
yes,
holy smart! We were all speechless when we saw this. So it's a company called Aimlight, and their whole thing is ultra lightweight firearm components.
Yeah.
And they had a rifle length forend on display, and you pick it up and you're wondering if you actually picked anything up.
Yeah.
Because it's made of magnesium. This is a company that they're a magnesium foundry for the mining industry. They're making tool heads and such. Extremely lightweight, extremely high resilience and so forth. And they decided to get into the firearm component. They actually said that they are making some uppers and lowers for a government contract. But they had a standard extremely lightweight aluminum forend, which weighed slightly more than 2 of their magnesium of the same length. It was stunning. And I have my home AR is a KE Arms monolithic polymer lower.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want my wife to be well practiced with it, but, she's petite, she doesn't have a lot of upper body strength. And even with the lightweight forend I have on it, that 16-inch barrel puts a lot of weight forward. Swapping out for this forend, which will probably knock a good 6-7 ounces.
Yeah.
At least.
And while they're not super cheap,
no,
the prices they were telling us were very reasonable.
For what they are, absolutely.
Yeah, not out of line of what you'd see a lot of the custom or aftermarket forend manufacturers selling theirs for.
Yeah, and it's got a full pick rail along the top. It's got a short section of pick rail underneath at the front, and then it has M-lock slots all over.
Right.
And it's really nice. Probably one model of them has an ARCA rail for attaching a bipod as well. So it's lighter than carbon fiber. but you can actually attach stuff and not have it wobble around.
Yep.
It's brilliant. I am definitely intrigued.
All right. So let's see what's left. I'm fading fast.
Yeah.
It's
Notice
getting late.
that.
But let's talk about the big news. The big news from the show. Not many people unveiled anything at the show.
Oh, yes. What were we thinking? Going, oh, yeah, what else happened? But yes.
Nothing really big.
I walked into the Oddball and I walked in. We got separated from David. I don't remember what you were doing.
You guys were geeking out over the Magpul knives, and I went around the corner to chat with the guys at the Barry's Bullets booth next door. And when I popped back around, you were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was about 5 of 12, and the whiskey tasting was going to be at noon, so I headed over there figuring you'd show up eventually. And yes, you did show up eventually because you were distracted by...
Yes. Well, so Oddball and I walked into the High Point booth, and I walked right past the display case with a bunch of carbines on it, and Oddball pointed to... go ahead.
I pointed to the third one, the one on the bottom, and we were just kind of went, yeah, but it.
What booth is this?
It's an AR.
Yes.
What booth are we at?
Yeah, and then we both dove for it and pulled it out to see if it had the.
Yeah, I was actually checking the markings to see. Okay, did somebody decide to troll them and grab this AR from another booth and put it here? Because I have noticed this year that there's a lot of firearms that probably should have, or I could find the metal security lanyard on
The cable, yeah.
that wasn't actually attached to the gun. But no, it has the High Point logo. And as we were standing there going, wait, what? Dave, the gentleman at High Point, stuck his head in and went, yes, it is an AR. Yes, it is real.
Yep. And so, it's just it is your basic plain Jane flat top AR-15 gas. It's the gas tube direct impingement action and all that
with aluminum. The what is now the standard lightweight aluminum handguard rail.
But weird. How much Zamak is in this design?
Yeah, I did ask him how much Zamak was in it. He goes, "Why? It's a centerfire gun." And it turned out he was messing with it. He was giving a hard time. But I just don't understand the question. So it's got all the standard materials, and they're just working hard to bring it in at a very, very competitive price because it's going to be. Did he said under?
He said under 500.
Under 500
is going to be the MSRP.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that was the display of they had a pistol with a brace, and they had a standard carbine, and the standard carbine had a loophole scope on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Loophole scopes are really good and not cheap.
An illuminated Leupold.
Oh, it was illuminated.
Yeah.
Okay, that changes my estimate.
There was a second dial on there.
Okay, I thought that was half again as expensive as the MSRP of the rifle. I'm thinking now it might have been twice as expensive.
And as we've talked before, we love the guys at High Point because they make it, especially for the price point that they're putting stuff out at. They make great stuff. Is it going to be as great as a Staccato? No. They don't even try to pretend that it is.
Yeah.
But
you're going to get one of those, and you're going to get 2 or 3 pallets of ammunition.
Right.
For the price of a Staccato.
But are 10 High Points as good as one Staccato?
No.
According to Ian, no.
Oh yeah, he did that. Yes, he did the brace of High Points.
Yes.
Oh god, that was funny.
Oh, it's hysterical.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. And they're also great guys and have.
Oh yeah, they have a good sense of humor.
A great sense. Now, granted, you can have a great sense of humor when you're just selling them as fast as you can crank them out.
Yep.
But
I'm looking forward to getting to the Kel-Tec booth because those are the other favorite.
Yeah, and I've already told Anya that Yeah, High Point's coming out with something that's, and they said they were going to start shipping in June.
This actually might be the first AR I buy. I have 7.5 ARs. I have never bought an AR.
No, I have bought a complete AR because I bought the
the KE arms.
The KE arms.
Yeah,
that I bought as a rifle.
I need to check in on them and see how they're doing. But for one of the other firearm accessories we stopped in and chatted with Joe Gelderman from Ammo Racks.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, these are heavy-duty steel shelving units that are modular and adjustable. They come in 2, 3, 4, and 5 shelf heights. And one of the things that he offers for them is, in addition to shelves, is basically ammo can sockets for 30 or 50 caliber ammo cans.
Yeah. And by heavy duty, you said that the weight limit was like 1,200 pounds per shelf.
Yeah. Yeah, he had, at one point, they had a problem with one of their lights, so one of the other guys in the booth, 200-pound guy, just hopped up on there and was adjusting lights, and Joe's like, wait, hold on, let me get a picture of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're really good. My only issue, if you will, is they're too big to fit where I store my ammo cans. So
that and they are pricey with very good reason.
Yeah. I mean, I grabbed one of those and tried to shift it, and there were no ammo cans on it, and it didn't shift. And what did he tell me they weighed? Like 50 or 70 pounds for a 3-shelf unit?
Yeah.
Which they're not going anywhere, and neither are your ammo cans.
And they do come with rubber pads for if you're wanting to put it on wood floor, which I was going, if you actually load one of those things up, I wouldn't put that on a wood floor because that means that
it's going to sink in.
That there's air below that.
Yeah.
I'd want to put it on concrete.
Yeah. Also, one of the options that they offer is a butcher block top. So you can have that in a workshop.
Yeah.
Have your ammo cans full of ammo or reloading components or whatever, and then the top as a workbench. I mean, they're really nicely made. And Joe is a super nice guy to talk to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And stopped by the gun broker booth.
They thanked Oddball.
Yeah, they thanked me for my service to
support.
them.
That one lady showed you the picture of her kids that you're putting through college. Super, super nice people.
Oh, yeah.
Great sense of humor. We chatted with them for a bit.
Hopefully they are listening.
Yes. Yeah, they expressed interest in the podcast.
Yep.
Actually, when we were at the Rock Island booth, one of the guys turned out to be a fan of the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I
had to think about it.
I was thinking Rock Island Auctions.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
We're
Rock
at that
Island
booth too, but I'm like, I don't
know
remember meeting anyone there.
And that was funny. They're doing giveaways during the show, and while we were at the booth chatting, the guy hopped up on the table and started playing the crowd.
Yeah. Doing the whole barter thing.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they had is, it's not anything new, but I actually got a chance to handle, was they have a reproduction of the Ithaca Model 37 pump shotgun.
Yes.
Which has a very special feature.
Mm-hmm.
It can slam fire.
Yeah.
I tested this by holding the trigger, and the slide just kept on going back and forth.
That and handling, I know it's been out for a little while now, but the RIA 5.0.
Yes, with the square barrel.
With the square barrel and
let me clarify: the square external profile barrel.
Right? Yeah. The square external profile barrel and the
what was his name?
Innovative recoil system, which I'm not going to try to go into.
I may see about doing a segment on that. I'm going to reach out to them and see if I can maybe get a T&E version. Even if I can't, tomorrow I'll take more pictures and see if I can describe that, because it is really, there was a turn of the last century German or Belgian gun that had something similar for the recoil lockup, but it's very clever. And the fellow who was showing it, I cannot remember his name, was really, really nice. He stripped the gun down to show us the internals.
Yeah.
And it's a hammer-fired gun.
Yes.
Which I assumed it was striker-fired because it's 2025.
And it's one of those things that Rock Island Armory is known for making budget guns. I have a couple of their guns. Great guns.
Yeah. I've got one of their 1911s.
And as they said, there is a little bit of an issue with that gun of everybody's used to seeing the RIA logo stamped on a gun that's $300, $400, $500.
Yeah, sub 500
and
for the most part.
Yeah, there's a couple exceptions, like with their double stack 1911s, which, as I predicted, everybody's showing off their new double stack 1911s.
Mm-hmm.
But
although more and more of those are 10 millimeter.
but this gun is a little over $1,000, I think.
I thought it was a little. I thought it was 900 and something.
Right at
around
that
1,000.
mark, and that's a price point that for that brand people tend to balk at. But it's one of those things of everything I've seen. This is a really nice gun, and they actually had to put a
lot of
R&D into it, and that's not cheap, and innovation is not cheap. And I
applaud them for trying something different.
I may see if I can support them in the future for that innovation.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna talk to them tomorrow about possibly getting a T&E copy.
Yeah.
And do a thorough review on it, because there's some things, even after he stripped it down, I'm like, but how does that part work?
Right. Yeah.
But super nice folks.
And it's made in the U.S. Yes,
that's something else that's very important.
Yep. And David, you just reminded me of this other one. This is APF is the name of the company. They have the American Precision Firearms, and I guess they said they've been making these for a while, but I had never heard about them. I
don't think any of us had.
Yeah, the APF R1, which is essentially it's a copy of a Smith & Wesson K-frame.
Yeah. Yeah, they said when I asked, they said the internals were basically the Smith system.
Yep. And so
why not?
Yep. With the recessed chambers.
Yeah. So recessed chambers in the cylinder. Very nice fit and finish.
Yep. Yeah. And so
the single action triggers were excellent. I thought with the blued steel guns, I thought the double action was a little heavy, but with the stainless guns, it was so smooth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was a different in materials or they've been played with more.
Yeah.
Because what's the best way to smooth a trigger? Dry fire.
Yep. The Jerry Mitchell trigger job. Let's see. And actually, on a people side of it, we were in the press room and we bumped into NRA board member John Richardson and Amanda Suffolcool. Yeah. So both people that you've heard on ACP if you've been listening for a while. And
out on the floor, we saw Cam Edwards and Tony Simon.
Yep.
Right.
And so it was good talking to them about the future of the NRA and how that stuff's going, and we'll definitely, I definitely want to have John on. On a later show, just to talk about his first major meeting.
Well, that and some of the other stuff he's done, because he's also done a bunch of safari hunting and stuff like that, and he's just awesome people. Both he and his wife are great folks.
And I got to finally meet in person Carrie Sloan.
Yes,
who goes under Stilettos and Shotguns. She's a female firearms trainer, fantastic trainer.
I was actually talking to someone and I saw you talking to her. I didn't recognize her, and I wish you made an introduction because I know.
Well, she was literally running to a meeting.
She was running.
She took the time to stop and say hello and offered to pose for a picture.
Yep.
Because I was not going to ask because she said she was in a hurry.
Yeah, lovely lady. We'll have to keep an eye out because I would like to also. Yeah, I've really enjoyed her stuff.
And of course, as we're throwing out names, of course we ran into Oleg Volk, who I see on a regular basis.
I don't see often enough.
Right. but he's always a fun guy and always interesting to see what he's up to.
Yeah. So there were these nice suit coats at this one display, and I tried one on, and I thought it looked pretty sharp. Thank you. I was trying to remember their name.
Every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man.
Perfect pattern sports coats.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the one that I tried on was one of the Realtree, but they also have it in what's known as duck hunter or frog skin, which is a Vietnam era pattern, which I'm going to try and get a picture of me in tomorrow. I'm also going to ask if they're going to do an 80s woodland.
Yes.
Because, is best camo.
Or Cryptech.
Yeah. Cryptid?
Cryptech.
And I had Weer'd or Oddball take a picture of me and sent it to my wife and said, I found something I can wear to our next fancy dress event. And she replied, ha 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 ha, no. So I'm going to have to see what she thinks of the other patterns.
Yes.
I also need to find out what the price is because I did not look at prices. But
well, I think, is there anything else that we want to particularly jump on? Oh, you got one? Oh, yeah.
Well, I've got two more.
Okay.
So one was the booth that said proudly made in Canada, and I was surprised to see them there.
Yep.
Although they're made in Canada, but they're distributed and serviced through the U.S., and most of the employees outside of the manufacturing facility are American. And that was Apex Optics. Really nice guys. They've got a bunch of red and green dot pistol optics. And some of them only have one reticle, but they have up to 5. They have the one optic I was looking at has the 5 different reticles. 2.5 MOA dot, 12.5 MOA dot, 2.5 dot with a point-up triangle at the bottom, kind of almost German style. And then they've got 2 with a 68 MOA circle with one of those 2 dots in the middle of it and the triangle at the bottom. And that is a big, big circle.
Oh, yeah.
You're not, if you can't find that, you probably need to go to your eye doctor. But they're really well made. They have what they call their jolt awake as opposed to shake awake system. And the battery life is supposedly going to be 50,000 hours at a medium setting. But they look like good units, and they some of them don't require an optic cut. I thought they said that they were a clamp on or something.
Oh, I missed that. I don't remember that part.
I'm not honestly. That might have been another one. We saw so much stuff today, but they're really good looking units, and the prices that they mentioned were definitely competitive, and I think the more basic ones, I think they're going to come to market at below the equivalent Holosuns for MSRP.
Okay.
Like I said, the simpler ones.
Yeah. I remember them being at like $350, somewhere in that neighborhood, and the higher end ones being at $550. Yeah.
And then last but not least, before Weerd's head hits the table, is Global Defense. The thermal optic that we took a look at. And thermal optics have come such a huge way. I remember when I was younger and the second gen military surplus thermals were hitting the market, and they were like $8,000, and it was just a green image with shapes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the IR stuff. But now they've got the digital thermal stuff, and they had a couple that you could look at, and they are switchable colors. They have what they call color palettes. So there's one where you can do it with black is hot or white is hot. They've got red is hot, and a few different others where there are different colors for hot and cold. And looking around the crowd, I was looking at some folks that were at the other end of one of the aisles, and I could see the difference between the person's hair, skin, and glasses. And that particular unit I think they said that one was 2,500, which, considering the performance of it, that is a very reasonable price. I think that was the Lensor QDTS 384 35 LRF, and any other letters and numbers they want to toss in there.
Right.
The Lensor QDTS, I'm just going to call it. And yeah, it runs off an 18650 battery, and it says it comes with 2 of those rechargeable batteries, which for that price, yeah, you'd hope you get the batteries included.
Yep.
But it's got a magnification of 3.3 and digital zoom of 2, 4, and 8x. And the zoom was smooth. I mean, you really didn't see a lot of degradation. But nice people, nice product. And, I mean, I've got that 300 Blackout I built for Coyote Control that could definitely benefit from it. All right, I'll stop.
Yeah. All right. And we're not gonna quite sign out now, because for you'll be hearing us talking 24 hours from now, or maybe a little less than that. Yeah, to talk about what we saw on the next day, and so
Day 2.
Yeah, day 2, and so yeah, we will talk to you in a little bit.
Good night for now.
All right, so we are back, and this is the end of day 2 of the NRA Annual Meeting, and of course, we still have Oddball.
Hello.
And we have David.
Brains.
Yeah, we've been working hard. It's late. We're tired.
It's been long.
But it's been fun.
Yes.
It has been.
So we are going to close out the show. What are some of the things that we saw that were interesting today? Oddball?
One, you and I got to talk with the guys at Mechgar.
Yeah.
The magazine maker that if you have a gun that's not a Glock, chances are they made the magazines for them.
Probably the SIGs. I think they make those in-house, don't they?
I believe so.
Yeah.
HK.
Yeah, they're
Because they got those zigzag backings.
definitely with HK.
Yeah.
But
any of the Smith & Wesson magazines, any of I would think the Colt magazines that are not 1911, and possibly the 1911s. Almost any of the, I don't want to specify a tier because they're all sorts of companies, but a good chunk of the magazines on the market, yeah.
And as they said, if you're curious, if you look at your mag and you see it say, if it has stamped "Made in Italy," they made it, which very much includes Beretta magazines, etc. No for the Smiths.
I know they make the Smith magazines. I've talked to them about the Smith magazines,
Okay.
but it doesn't say "Made in Italy."
The M&Ps or the 1911s?
M&P.
Now, he also said that a lot of companies love to find ways to hide that stamp somewhere.
I mean, usually the stamp is right up the side by the witness holes.
But
That also might be the contract for the OEM style.
He went into, he actually showed us how they managed to make the higher capacity magazines. Like for my 92, I carry, standard capacity for a 92 for years and years and years has been 15 rounds. I carry Mechgar magazines for a 92 that are flush fit magazines that hold 18. Part of that is there was some empty space in the magazine to begin with, and part of it is they actually have the springs tapered so that they can nest inside themselves as they compress. And also, as a 3D printer, I was a bit amused that when he told us that the magazine the springs that they use for the magazines are made out of piano wire, which is that's
It's good for strangling.
but that's what the 3D printer community is using for when they print out magazines. You can't really reliably print out a coil spring that's going to work more than a couple times. So they use piano wire. So that was really good.
David, you want to go with something you saw?
Sure. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make a noise, but I just I couldn't remember what one of the business cards was from. Yep. So I looked it up like, oh, right, those guys.
So would you like to talk about those guys?
Sure. We chatted with Caleb Wells at Infitac,
yep.
Who make a handgun thermal sight.
Yeah.
Which we took a look at. We chatted with them a little bit. And so first things first, when I first experienced quote unquote modern night vision, it was like the Gen 2 military surplus stuff that was selling for $6,000 and was a green field with shapes. And now with the digital resolution of the thermal, it is remarkable. I mean, this is something that I would say is not much bigger than the PB3 from Lead and Steel.
Yeah.
And we're standing at the booth and we're looking across the hall and we can see who's wearing glasses and who isn't.
Yep.
Now, I mean, the downside is thermal is a phenomenal energy hog. So for these small, relatively speaking, pistol optics, battery life is currently, he said, 5 hours. But this isn't the kind of thing that you're going to keep running all the time. And he was really good to talk. He was very open about the fact that it's a Chinese-owned company with Chinese components, and they're working on sourcing both components and assembly in other countries. They're actually looking at Vietnam and India primarily at this point, and they have actually communicated with a source in the U.S. that supplies one of their competitors. But really nice guy, really interesting company. And Weer'd, do you remember what he said the MSRP on that pistol sight was?
Oh,
like 700?
I want to say 6, but yeah. So 6 or 7.
Oh, hey, I just looked it up. $6.99. We were both right.
Yep.
But yeah, but nice guy, very open and honest, and the product looks really good.
It was I saw we were walking through past the back part of the booth, so they had their big splash on the backside, and I'm like, did I just see a pistol with a thermal optic on it?
No, that couldn't be.
Yep. Yeah. And so we turned around and we went in there, and I'll be darned, it was a pistol with a thermal optic on it.
Yeah, and I just really, especially these days, appreciated how honest and upfront Caleb was about the national sourcing.
Yes.
But I will pass the baton.
All right, let's see. So, we got to start off with this one. David and we had a whole lot of fun on was concealed carry leggings.
From Curves and Combat Boots.
Yes. Yep.
So I just want to preface this with, I believe that everybody listening to our show is familiar with Booth Babes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The old school Booth Babe was the model in skimpy clothes who is, as Oddball said, holding a gun like it's a dead fish.
Or I say live snake.
Or a live snake. These ladies, and one of them was one of the founders, the one that we spoke to the most, want to get on the show, is one of the founders of the company. Yes, they're wearing leggings and like sports bras or whatever, and running around and laughing and talking and whatever, but they're carrying. Mm-hmm. And do you remember the lady's name? It's late, so I don't remember names.
Yeah, it was Tara.
Tara was a riot.
Yes.
I mean, she's like 5'6" or so, but her legs are like my length.
Yeah, she's long limbed and big hands, and she was actually
her hands were almost the same size as mine, and I have medium man hands.
Yeah, she was carrying a 365, and I actually don't like this gun. I'm just carrying it because it's so popular that I want people to see this, but normally she carries a Glock 19, and she says it fits my hand better.
Yeah. And I mean, she was literally, to demonstrate how well this holds the gun, she ran up and down the aisle, and she did a couple of squats, and she did a couple of toe touches.
Yep, she was jumping.
And we are trying to be good. Just in case our wives hear this, we were not ogling her. We were looking at if the gun was moving.
Yeah. And this is one of those ones too where this has become a common occurrence with me is, oh, look at this piece of crap product. Look at this.
Oh,
gimmick.
concealed carry leggings, concealed carry soft belts, or whatever.
Yeah, I want to see. Let's talk to the proprietor and see how much shine they try to put on a sneaker for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
and Tara walked the walk literally.
yeah, they seem to have really thought about just about everything. Whereas you mentioned that it was that they had actually tried. It doesn't have a reinforced.
It doesn't have a hard surface protecting the trigger, but they doubled the material on both sides of that part of the pocket for the gun.
Yep.
And it's a fairly heavy, slick material. So they said they test it in various ways of trying to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And once they got the bugs worked out with that part of the design, Tara said that, yeah, if that trigger is getting pulled, it's because you're intentionally pulling it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm always looking for women's concealed carry on body stuff. Number one, because I love my wife and I want her to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, I am generally very fond of my female students and I want them to be safe. And well, women's clothing and carry are...
That's really number three. Number three, women's clothing gives almost no options for concealed carry.
Yeah, I mean, if you think their pockets are bad, their ability to conceal is possibly worse. But yeah, so really nice lady, very enthusiastic about the product. Yeah, and we're hoping to get her on the show so that Weer'd can interview her.
Yeah, no, it was very fascinating, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it seems like a pretty viable product. Oddball, back to you.
People might be shocked to know that I bought another knife. This one from Fox Knives out of Italy. If you're not familiar with them, they make, I think, mid-grade to high-end knives, which means like $300 to over $1,000 knife. I did not buy one of the $1,000 knives, as pretty as it was.
Yeah, it was a beautiful knife, and it handled the blow to the floor very well.
Yes.
Yeah, I was standing next to the table. I lost my balance, and I grabbed for something and missed, and wound up sweeping 4 knives off the table. I was very embarrassed.
And fortunately, while they did hit my foot
and one of the bags,
my foot is in thick leather shoes. And I had a bag on top of that, so
yeah, no person or product was harmed.
But the thing that really made me want to get one of their knives is they've come up with a new lock system where it is basically a slider that rotates around the pivot screw, which makes it very easy for someone using their right hand, although they did say that they do make some left-handed models. Makes it very easy to open one-handed just by running the slider around with your thumb. And it also looks pretty darn cool.
Yeah, they're nice looking knives. Yeah, and as Oddball mentioned, they are left-handed or right-handed for reasons that are fairly obvious when you see them. They're not ambidextrous.
Right.
All right.
As the training-focused member of our cabal, I, of course, had to stop at the Mantis booth and say thank you again to them for sending me the Mantis X that I tested. Mm-hmm. I reminded them that I still have it, and I asked about sending it back, and they basically said, nah, you're good. But one of the things that they've come out with that they are just releasing now is the Titan X, which is a smart laser training pistol. So it has an integrated Mantis X sensor and a standard trigger for the style of firearm. The sample they had, of course, was a Glock, because most common handgun pretty much. But they have a few more models either out or coming out. And if you've ever seen, heard of, or used a SIRT pistol, It is a similar concept to that. It can take standard magazines of whatever model. It comes with a weighted magazine for that model. The laser is adjustable. The slide does not reciprocate, but it is optic ready. And one of my favorite points, it is USB-C rechargeable. Mm-hmm. Which, thank you, yes, please.
Yeah.
But in use, the idea is you get a sight picture either through the optic or through the iron sights. You have your grip, your stance, etc., trigger pull, and you get a laser dot. And with a SIRT pistol, that's what you've got. And it works really well for helping train people to keep steady grip and so forth. With the Titan, because it's got the Mantis X built in, you can also get the metrics of movement of your gun, just like any other Mantis product. And I believe they said the price point was we were hoping for like 200?
200.
Which I believe is 100 or more less than the SIRT pistols. So for anyone who's training, $200 for a laser training gun, definitely something worth looking into. And thank you again to Mantis for sending me the Mantis X.
All right, let's see. Oh, I got to talk about it now. David and I, we went to Kel-Tec.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Let's see. So, I mean, the big one that I think that they announced before the show was that they had chambered the Sub 2000 in both 10 millimeter and 5.7, and that was very cool for obvious reasons. But also one of the big things that they unveiled at SHOT Show was the 57 pistol.
Do not call it a 5.7. It's chambered in 5.7, but it's the Model 57.
Yes.
But one thing to go back to the Sub 2000, you noticed a marking on the side of it. You called my attention to it.
Yeah, it was noted, yes. It says, so the Sub 2000, so the Sub 2000 in 5.7 uses FN57 magazine. The Sub 2000 in 10 millimeter uses Glock magazines. And the markings on the side of the freezer says Glock 20 or Glock 21. And I think you weren't aware, David, that 21 is the 45 ACP version.
I did not have my Glock decoder ring on me, so I didn't realize the significance of that until you pointed it out. But that adds another layer of excitement, right?
Yes.
And then there's John.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
Yep. Yeah, he was one of the guys that helped set up the Wyoming plant to crank out these 57 pistols, and they are super duper duper cool.
Yeah.
This is the gun that is has a fixed 20 round magazine and uses charger clips, essentially.
Yeah, like a Schmidt-Rubin or a K31 charger to load. Mm. And a lot of people poo-pooed it as a gimmick about not having a removable magazine. But if you look at the number of trainers and other influencers in the firearms community who say, well, there's no need to carry a spare magazine. If you can't do it in 15+1 or 17+1, then you shouldn't be there. Well, this is 20+1 of 5.7.
Right.
So the lack of a magazine is not a big deal, but the lack of the magazine makes the grip feel like a single stack 9mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and makes the gun overall can make the gun overall super lightweight
and slim.
Yeah.
I mean, that is for concealment purposes. Slim is king.
Right.
But even as slim as it is, it does have an optic plate.
And one gun of theirs that has flown under the radar for me that I just noticed this time around was pretty much everybody knows make sure I get them in the correct way around, the RDB, the 223 bullpup they sell.
Yep.
And I love the configuration of the survival with the semi-pistol grip that's molded into where the magazine and action is. What I didn't know until I spotted it this time around is they also have that configuration for the RFB, the 308.
I think the shop where I work may have one of those. They have a few
Really?
308 bullpups, and I thought one of them might be a Kel-Tec.
Okay. And I've seen it with the actual pistol grip, but this was the first time I'd seen the configuration with the semi-pistol grip.
Oh, the survival model?
Yeah.
I think the one that we have is the standard pistol grip.
Yeah, I think they call it the hunting model or something like that.
Right.
And for that design, it looks like something that makes no sense, but if you actually hold it, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, with your thumb tucked along the top of your hand is actually quite a comfortable grip. And if you see people who are used to shooting like African hunting rifles, that's often where they place their thumbs so they don't punch themselves in the face.
Yeah. Well, that makes the gun surprisingly more compact.
Oh yeah.
Without having that pistol grip stick on.
Yeah, I am kind of ashamed to say that I don't pay as much attention to bullpups as I probably should, because most of them would require dental work.
That is fair.
But more and more of them are becoming either ambi or switchable.
Yeah, and one of the guns I have in bullpup configuration would definitely cause you dental work.
I have fired it, but I will only fire it right-handed or from the hip.
And I will only let you fire it right-handed. Another booth that I'll skip. I'll briefly mention Whispertech. I bought one of their utility knife out the front knives. And if you want we talked about earlier about Microtech making really nice out the front knives, but they're pricey. Whispertech, you definitely notice the difference in price point, but Whispertech makes significantly more affordable out the front automatics. And the one that I bought actually uses a box cutter razor blade, which is what I'm intending to use it for.
Yeah, I mean, because you can get bulk packs of those utility blades at like Home Depot for $5.
Yeah. And
very cool.
One place that I know we all definitely want to talk about is we stopped by the booth for Tactical Grit. That's Weer'd. I believe you referred to it as the Magic Dirt.
Well, yeah, because you should have called it Tactical Grit.
Yeah.
And so I called it Magic Dirt, yes. But yeah, essentially it is, David had his segment a few shows ago on range hygiene. It is range hygiene, it's waterless, and it's essentially designed to react with and encapsulate any heavy metals.
And the big thing, like Weer'd said, it's waterless, and they use the analogy of it being like Purell, where you put a squirt on your hands and you rub it until your hands are dry, and there's some GSR in it, which is what encapsulates the lead, and there's also some pumice to do some exfoliation and latch onto the GSR and then fall off your hands and take the lead with it. Which, if you are someone like David who has a shooting range in his backyard, or you're someone like me who oftentimes the range I go to is someone's backyard, this is great stuff. And they do.
No, that's the expanding foam.
Sorry. And they sell it in tubes for us individuals, but they do also sell the gallon jugs.
Yeah, pumper jug
for commercial. So I think that's a great product that needs to get out there.
Yeah, we had gone different ways at that point, so I'm going to have to make sure to stop in and check with them tomorrow.
Yeah.
So one of the places that I stopped was a blast from the past, was Sportsman's Guide.
Yeah.
Formerly run by the late, great Gary Olin. And I started doing business with Sportsman's Guide. Well, let me put it this way. When I put in my order, it included a handwritten check in an envelope that went into the mail with a stamp on it.
Do banks do checks anymore?
Some people's banks do checks. I don't know if everyone's banks do checks. And it was just nice to know that they're still around. They're still doing the same types of stuff. Although, and one of the guys at the booth had been working with Sportsman's Guide long enough that he was the guy who took some of the photos of Gary for the catalog, making the funny faces and doing the funny poses.
Nice.
So he and I shared some memories while a couple of the other people looked at us like we were ancient relics. But they're still around. They're still doing their things. I remember there were some, I'll just gloss over it as issues during the madness of the Obama administration. But I've heard that that's been straightened out. And, you know, they still have a lot of cool stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they're worth checking out.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Well, I'm only touch briefly on this one just because it goes with the trend, and I'll throw in one more bit, and then I'll see if the guys have any other things to dive on. But the last one I've got was we stopped by the PTR booth. I think they were unveiling a rifle that was in 7.62 by 39. I think, was that new? I got the impression that was new.
Might have been. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it's based on the HKG3. But the big thing that we had was, like many of the other people, they were making suppressors.
Yes.
And so they had.
And we are all happy at the drastic increase in number of suppressor manufacturers.
Yep. And hopefully they will contact their legislators and get us to get the Hearing Protection Act in play.
Yep.
I don't know a suppressor manufacturer who does not want that reduction in paperwork.
I mean, it's just
an increase in sales.
Yeah,
Oddball. If it wasn't for the NFA paperwork, how many suppressors would you have by now? A lot.
Yeah, many. Speaking of the NFA and trying to dodge it, I went over to the Franklin Armory booth.
Oh yeah.
And first off, I will state that one of their normal sales guys saw me and started to talk to me, and then saw that I had a media badge and went, "Oh, our head of marketing wants to be the person that talks to everybody." Which, if you don't know, there's some history with specifically Ian and Carl. I believe that was an in-range.
It was an in-range thing at, was it SHOT Show 2020, 2019?
Somewhere around.
It was a while
somewhere
back.
We
won't get into the details.
So, he pointed out the head of marketing, who was at the time talking to Ian Harris of Recoil Magazine, at which point I went, yes, he is talking to someone who is far more important to be talking to than little old me. But after a couple minutes, the gentleman came over and we had a great conversation. Really, he kind of made it clear that Franklin Armory's bread and butter is their binary triggers, and they do some other things just because they like to push back some on gun regulations. And the one that they were showing off that they're actually bringing back after it was gone for a little while is the Reformation firearm. And actually the reason why they're bringing it back is they had to stop for a while because the ATF had decided that it was an NFA item, and they ended up actually suing and beating the ATF in the courts and got the court system to tell them, no, that's not what the law says. You have to actually do what the law says, which always makes me smile.
Yes.
If you are unfamiliar with the Reformation firearm, it is in 300 blackout, and they figured out this weird little loophole that, well, by definition, rifling a rifled barrel is a barrel that has lancing grooves that the lancing grooves rotate down the barrel. And a shotgun is a smoothbore. So what they did was they made a barrel with lancing grooves, but the lancing grooves just go straight down the barrel. There is no twist rig. Therefore, it's not a rifled barrel, and it's not a smoothbore. So they can get away with doing things like, yes, we'll put a 10-inch or 14-inch barrel on this AR-15 pattern rifle firearm, and it is not legally classified as a short-barreled rifle or short-barreled shotgun because it's not a rifle or a shotgun. Now, they were also quite upfront over, the accuracy. If you're expecting rifle accuracy, you are going to be disappointed because I think they said that it would do 4-inch groups at 100 yards. And that, it doesn't stabilize the round at all. But their thought is it would make an excellent home defense gun because what's the distances for home defense? And
10 yards, maybe.
Right. And having a short-barreled 300 blackout firearm would make a great home defense gun, and that way you can get it without doing the whole NFA thing. He also really sounded like he was interested in coming on the show, and we might have some chats with him later.
For me, I have been trying not to purchase at the show, but I could not help myself. I had to purchase something, and this was from Schmid, SCHMID, Inside Gun Parts, and it's one of their fire control groups. It's a flat trigger. All my ARs have curved triggers, and this is a 3.5 pound match trigger. Nickel plated. They had some test grips that you could try out, and this is a very smooth trigger, and it was $31.
Yeah.
Their prices are phenomenal. Really nice guys, really willing to talk, although they didn't give me one of those cool stickers that Oddball got. But they really, their focus is the single and double stage fire control groups, lower part kits, spare part kits, flat curve triggers, and they specifically say made in US.
Right. And they and it's really nice seeing someone putting out good quality, nice AR trigger groups without charging a whole lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, sub $50 is a good price for that.
Yeah. The Timony trigger packs, those are
phenomenal.
Those are phenomenal triggers, but they're
$300, $250.
Right.
I mean, even the LaRue, I forget the name of the model, but their basic trigger, which is a great trigger, is still around $100.
Yeah.
And I have one, and I love it. It's just an excellent trigger, but it's still $100.
Right.
And I mean, I played with the test gun, and once I get this home and dig out or buy or print another lower, I'm going to put this trigger group in it and run it through some paces and probably do a separate segment just on that.
Right.
But really nice guys.
And speaking of made in the USA, and I think this will be the one we end on, Taylor Firearms. They have come out with a 9mm tube-fed lever action rifle.
Yeah, I think it's based on the 1873.
Yes.
Ish.
I know it's a Winchester pattern.
Well, it's a lever gun, so unless it's a Marlin, and they almost entirely do Winchester patterns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is based on the 73.
And one, it's a gorgeous gun.
If you have not seen any of Taylor's products, go to the Taylor's and Company website, and if you have a high resolution monitor, the better.
Yeah, case hardened receiver, wonderful wood, furniture.
Classic, like vintage era bluing.
Yeah, and the throw on the lever is super short.
Yeah. Now, for any cowboy action shooters out there, it is not quite as short as the tricked out lever guns that like Evil Roy and some of the others use, but it's not far off.
Right. For someone like me who's used to the off the shelf Marlins or Rossies or whatnot,
or even Winchesters,
or Winchesters. Yeah. This thing is super short, super fast action.
Very slick, yeah.
And very slick. And they were telling me that normally when you buy a rifle from them, you do have the option of paying a little bit more to have them go over it, slick it up, etc. Mm-hmm. With this gun, they just have that built in. They go ahead and do that. Yeah. And as I said, speaking of made in the USA, they were saying everything. The barrel, the receiver, the butt pad,
down to the pins and springs,
the screws, are all made in the USA, which is the first time that's been true in forever.
Yeah, for a lot of folks. I mean, that is reflected in the price. It's not a budget gun.
Well,
but for what it is,
even then, it is not a high point by any stretch of the imagination. But they're going for an MSRP right at the $2,000 range.
Yeah,
which
not cheap, but for what it is, you're getting what you're paying for.
Your standard mass-produced Marlins, etc. Those are currently going for what, 14, 12?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I know that the Smith & Wesson lever gun is going for about 12 to 1400.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring the Marlins are probably just a little behind that, maybe.
So for a rifle from a smaller company, everything made or sourced in the U.S. and
custom quality.
And custom quality for that price is actually a phenomenal deal.
Yeah. I just had a couple more I wanted to mention.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up. One of them was I swung by the Mossberg booth at just the right time and got to get a picture taken with Jerry and Lena Mikulek, who are just as pleasant and fun in person. I got to joke with Jerry a little bit. Told him I was sorry that he was now banned from the state of Colorado. And he joked back, and Lena laughed, and just very, very sweet people. And while we were there, we looked at the new
990.
Thank you, 990.
Yeah,
the Shockwave semi-auto.
Right.
And I have not been that tempted by a shotgun in a very long time.
Right, especially for one that, let's be honest, and I just recently bought a nightstick, which is the wood furniture version of the Shockwave.
Which is the better version of the Shockwave.
Yeah. And let's be honest, that configuration of a firearm, there's not a whole lot of roles where that is the best choice.
It's not the most practical, but it's a lot of fun. Well, you also said that you tried some different techniques with yours, and you found that there were some ways to make it more practical.
Oh yeah, there is. If people are curious about how to do practical shooting with these 14-inch, not a shotguns with bird's head grips on them, If you look up the technique cheek weld shooting, and unfortunately I have blanked out on the name of the company and the gentleman that's really developed the technique in the past couple of years.
Well, Ian of Forgotten Weapons did a video on it and mentions him by name.
Yeah. Well, and actually on that video, he has that gentleman in that video.
Oh, that's who that was.
Yeah,
okay.
Demonstrating it too.
Okay, I didn't realize that was the same person. But yeah, it's worth looking up that video anyway, even if you're not getting one of these.
But there are actually ways to actually use the sights and aim these firearms without getting free dental.
And not free dental.
And then not free dental. But yeah, and I had asked them, it's like, so, are you going to come up with wood furniture for the 990? And they gave me the practical answer of, we have to see what the market does and how they react to the plastic furniture first.
I mean, the pistol grip design is different. And you said thought it was more comfortable.
The pistol grip is different. Specifically, it's a bit thicker.
Yep. And it almost has a very short mare's leg styling to it, with an extension with a flat pad.
Absolutely. And then this evening after the show closed, we went out and had dinner with
our fan,
listener of the show, Ray.
Thank you so much for coming out, Ray. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. We had to get together with our fan and got to meet the fan of the show. And yeah, had a great time with him at Meehan's
Meehan's Public House, which was an Irish pub.
Public house, yeah.
Yeah, really, if you're in Atlanta and you want just some good hearty food, I had the fish and chips. They were really good. I think you had
I had the shepherd's pie.
Yeah, and Weer'd, you had a Reuben?
I had a Reuben, and it was done properly.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's one of the places that we usually go when we're down here for Dragon Con.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's not just because, well, it's next door, which, I mean, that doesn't hurt. But,
yeah. But good food, nice ambiance, pleasant and attentive service. The waitress was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just two quick mentions for me before I will stop. We've talked about our friends at Gearhead Works.
Yes.
And some of their arm brace products. Well, they're coming out with a new one that is very interesting. It is a side folding arm brace that actually will fold to either side, making it actually ambidextrous. It's not out yet, but they did say, I think they said they were going for sub $100.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's for an arm brace of the quality that Gearhead Works puts out.
Yeah.
That's a good price.
And it's actually an arm brace.
It's a proper arm brace.
It actually works as an arm brace.
Yeah. You guys were talking to them because you guys met them at Goals, and so it's one of those like, oh, all right, I got to be polite to their friends, but it's an arm brace group. It's one of those like,
those things.
Yeah, it's a way to get around the NFA with a shoulder stock. I get it, especially since I noticed like there was no straps or anything on stuff, and so I'm just like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, try it, and I did, and it absolutely worked.
The expression on your face was great.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you were truly surprised and impressed.
For those that are like fans of like the Franke Spas 12,
or the 80s Remington 870.
Yeah, there was a bunch of shotguns in the 80s and early 90s that were offered with an elbow hook.
Yeah.
And this is very
to allow for one-handed shooting.
Yeah. This was very much like the elbow hook of those shotguns.
I mean, some of them are the elbow hook, but this new one it's a flat brace, so it can fold to either side. But yeah.
And I do want to say that I was the only one in this group that went to the NRA Annual Meeting last year, and there were a lot more people and a lot more exhibitors this year than there were last year. Last year, I actually skipped out on Sunday because I'd done the entire floor and had already done the mop up. Let me hit the couple places that I want to hit again or missed or whatnot.
Yeah, and this year I haven't seen everything yet.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't gotten to all the booths. I mean, we're talking to people because that's what we do. And just before I hit the last one, I do want to mention again the number of people with suppressors of all styles and types and price points is just such a wonderful thing. So, we are not partisan, but we want to work at getting gun control off the table and support the Second Amendment as a bipartisan element. And one of the ways that folks can do that is by contacting their legislatures and urging them to support the Hearing Protection Act or one of the similar items for suppressors.
Right.
Because it really is a health issue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a health issue. It's not any sort of a, menace to society or that sort of thing.
Folks watch too many movies.
Yeah, it's purely a safety thing. It just makes things easier, and it's neighborly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to point out the number of exhibitors, etc., as being another sign that hopefully all three of us have said some, let's go with unkind words aimed at the NRA.
Yeah.
But
more in sorrow than anger.
Yeah, but
absolutely, because we've said unkind things, and Aaron and I openly said on that, now is not the time for you to donate to the NRA. It might be,
but now might be the time to start looking at the possibility coming up.
Yes,
because the number of reformers that got elected is promising.
Yep, yeah. And we'll be talking to as many as we can of the reformers in future episodes of the show.
Yep,
just to see, because of course they've got the meeting is on Monday, so we won't be really.
We won't be here for that, obviously.
Right.
And so
we could try to sneak in.
It was pretty obvious that the industry was shrinking back from the NRA, and
the NRA took notice.
Is now looking around, going, oh, "Okay, yeah, it looks like they're turning things around," and we really hope that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, this year, just the way the floor is laid out, there's not a lot of spare space.
I mean, it really reminded me of when we were here last in. What year was that? It was like
2016.
It might be about 2016.
I mean, I was at Indy in 2019.
Yep.
And because it's a different venue, but I would say this is at least as congested, especially on the way out at the end of the day. I mean, 6 o'clock and we're leaving, and we have to wait for room to clear at the escalator.
Oh yeah.
Which means it's not just there are vendors, but there are people attending.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention one more vendor, speaking of, our friends at Tippmann Ordnance. If you don't know Tippmann, these are not the paintball people. These are the Gatling gun people.
These are also not the AR rifle people.
Yes. I mean, the paintball people are relatives.
And I believe the AR people are also relatives.
Okay. But this is, and we were talking to actually one of the Tippmann family at the booth, the son of the founder. And one of the things he showed us was something that his dad had been noodling around with. It is a pump action 380 pistol. If you look up Stevens Visible Loader, which is a turn of the last century 22 rifle design, it is a very similar mechanism.
I think you can look it up on YouTube because I think Othias had one.
Mm.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me if he did. It wouldn't have been for his Great War portion because Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if Ian had one as
It was
well.
it was just one of his
kind of forgotten.
his range day guns.
Yeah. But this, when I saw it and I started playing with the action, I was like, I know this design. Like, what is it? It looks like a visible loader. And I'm mentioning to, excuse me, Mr. Titman, that, and I pull up a picture of it, and I'm like, so that's where Dad got the design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a refinement, and I would think it would be awesome if that actually came out at a reasonable price point, because it would be a fun range toy.
Yeah, especially as they're talking about scaling it up to 9mm, so that would also be...
Yeah.
And of course, Titman Ordnance, if you don't know them, they are also the people that make a 9mm Gatling gun that takes Glock mags, and a 22 Gatling gun that runs off of a belt.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I remember them from back in the 80s when they first showed up, and they didn't actually sell guns, they sold plans.
Mm-hmm.
You would buy the plans, and they had a list of suppliers for some of the materials, like the barrels and such, and you would build it yourself.
A BOM, yeah.
And that was always, when I was younger, that was a dream of mine, to get that and build a classic Gatling gun from one of their plans, because the original ones were all 22.
Right.
So I'm very happy to see that they're still around and they're still doing well.
All right. I think we close it out. I think this is going to be a long show.
Yeah, and there were obviously, if you couldn't tell,
so much more.
There's a bunch more that we could talk about, and a bunch of people that, frankly, deserve to be talked about.
Oh yeah,
we need sleep.
Yeah.
It's midnight after 2 very long days.
Yes,
and tomorrow is another one.
So it's time for us to thank each and every one of our listeners. We really appreciate you. And but very special thanks to all the supporters on Patreon. So if you're on Patreon patron, go to patreon.com/Assorted Podcast. Sign up. Of course, we're selling products there. You get early release of the show. You get the ACB blooper reels, the ACB mag dump, and the ACB film tracks. Also please remember to rate us on Apple Podcasts and on Pocket Casts. And subscribe to us on the podcast, the platform of your choice, and share the show with your friends, both online and off. And you can find my blog at weerdworld.com. That's WEERD world.com. And hear me weekly on Firearms Radio Network, Handgun Radio. Yeah, Handgun Radio, Firearms Radio. I'm tired.
Whatever that show's called.
That's great. Oddball, where can we find you?
I have a blog at gunstarterspec.com, and of course you can reach me at Oddball at gunstarterspec.com, or on both the Handgun Radio and the Assorted Calibers podcast Facebook pages, and I'm also on Handgun Radio.
David,
what?
Where can people find you?
Well, right here as often as possible, Handgun Radio, when they record at a time I'm available. I'm not casting shade. You guys have to work with what you got, but I just want you to remember me more often. I do not have a blog, but I am on Blue Collar Prepping. It can be found at bluecollarprepping.blogspot.com. I think that's right. I'm tired too.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. I'm more tired than I thought.
You're a published author.
I'm also a published author, and Books with My Stories can be found on Amazon under Brenna Bach and David Bach. And I also haunt the Facebook and MeWe pages for Handgun Radio and Assorted Calibers podcast.
All right, yes, and we are exhausted because we have been spending so much time at the NRA Annual Meeting. And Erin Paulette is not. She's probably sleeping. So
Sleeping the sleep of the just.
That's right.
Or at least the just tired.
Our levels of exhaustion are assorted, and so is our podcast.
They're not really assorted.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.